let's go back to history. During World War II,
Yes.
England and Germany were producing airplanes. Their issue were not light. They were getting everybody involved. Seamstress, women, shoemakers. Everybody was building a part that was specific for a particular portion of the plane. And by the time they assembled it, it worked. The same thing Africa can start.
It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing.
Building a plane and building a generator.
No, the why as to why they were building is the real issue.
Exactly. They saw a problem.
So
have we not seen the problem yet?
I don't think we are seeing the problem. Because this was a time of war. Do you think in parts of Africa, Nigeria in particular, do you think we have taken the issue of lack of electricity as a wartime issue? I don't think so. Because you see the levity, the hilarity in how people in these positions take the issue of electricity. So it's not we've not taken it as a really difficult problem, which is why you cannot not put everybody in that assembly line, so to speak. So if you have people, men, women, people were submitting their kitchen utensils, to contribute into building parts of an airplane during the Second World War. You are not going to tell me, in fact, this conversation that you're having now, we are having a semblance of that conversation in my place of residence now. So I live in a community that is gated, all of those fancy works. However, there's a niggling issue of power supply. Now, there are 3 transformers in the estate. One of them, which I'm unfortunate to be on, regardless of the fact that it's band A, that one transformer has seen 3 or 4 lives, is gone, right? So it breaks down every 2 days, then there will not be live for about a couple of days, and then you have to call power holdings people or Ikeja Electric to come and fix it. And now,
you're leaving the contribution part.
The decision has been taken by the Residents Association because for now, the electric distribution company, they are not importing new transformers. Now, residents have to contribute a minimum of 40,000 naira per head to buy this one transformer. So you see,
that won't belong to you.
It will not belong to me. I refuse to pay now. Maybe they will eject me because, shame on them, they cannot eject me. Because those residents are taking it as do or die, quite literally. If you don't make these contributions and buy it, it's not going to get done. Now, on a macro level, do people in positions of authority, owners of these electrical distribution companies, have they seen it as a wartime issue for us not to have light? So, until we see it like that, imagining that we are now going to be building factories that can manufacture, is wishful thinking. It's not happening.
It's wishful thinking now. Let's also add some numbers to this. 85 million Nigerians, that's like 45% of Nigerians are off the national grid, which means more than 60% of them will depend on generators. Now, even those on the national grid, let's say they are in big cities, commercial cities, small towns, a whole lot of that also depend on national grid. 99.9% of every generator being fixed is fixed with spare parts that is imported. Have we not also seen that market?
So Mr. Chuks, you are seeing the problem and you are not answering it.
That is what I'm saying. If that is a problem, have we not seen the market in that problem?
There was a clergyman involved in a fire.
Okay.
They are asking for proof of his beard. Now, if we cannot make manufacturing a core of our economy, we are not building anything.
Who should make it a core? Is it the government?
Oh no, so typically it's supposed to be from bottom up.
Okay.
But I think Nigeria and other parts of Africa are far gone. It has to be top to bottom. There are people that are in charge of budgets. The Ministry of Power
whose budget exactly?
For the national budget now.
Is it national budget that will build the rubber to connect the fuel tank to lining of your injector?
A lot of things have to be unbundled further. To the point that we have these distribution companies. It didn't used to be so, right? We used to have a central body. You know what I mean? I think it was called NEPA.
Yes,
Shebi?
NEPA.
And then from NEPA, it became Power Holding Corporation of Nigeria. And now those have been unbundled further. So you have GenCos and you have
I think it used to be
DisCos.
PCN before.
It used to be PHCN.
PCN, then NEPA.
Oh,
then
yeah?
then
ECN.
ECN.
Oh, sure. Those are the time of you people. Me, I was not there that time. But they've been unbundled because it doesn't make sense for power to be centralized.
Okay.
Now, this issue of national grid, to me, it's an oxymoron. There's no way we should have a national grid where all of the powers, all of the energy that we are generating feeds into and then they distribute. Which is why it's ridiculous to me, the issue of bands, right? Because we know how much power supply, how much energy we have generated. So if either I'm on band A or band E or Z, we are still taking from this same national grid. So who determines who is band A? So you probably look at where you have a concentration of middle to upper class people, you decide that they are band A because you can get more money from them. And then band C, people that are working class, people that are, blue collar, you put them on band D and you don't give them anything. So these are some of the complexities that needs to be unbundled further. Kudos to people that have worked in that space in the last 5 years. I can see some of the things that they've done. But it needs to be done further. If you look outside our window now, there's an IPP there, right? Independent Power Project that was established some 20 years ago, which was supposed to be like the pilot program for independent power generation for Lagos State. The government of the day vetoed it and then has to feed, certain Lagos State establishments. That's where we need to get into, where states can decide how much power supply they need. Off the top of my head, if you are living in Yobe State, for instance, you probably do not need as much energy as somebody who lives in Warri or Port Harcourt or Lagos. Now, putting all of us under that same national grid is an exercise in futility. So you have all of these things that we are yet to address. Therefore, the responsibility of building power plants, of ensuring that energy generation and distribution, it's 60 to 70% the responsibility of the central government since they want a national grid.
Okay. Thank you very much for taking us to church.
Amen.
Thank you very much for schooling us.
Amen.
Now, let's come back to the basics.
Okay.
Now, a young man gets out of school, gets a job. He gets out, he's looking for how to get lights. He goes by, I better pass my neighbor. For those that are wondering, it's this very small, the smallest of the generators. Now, we are looking at this particular economy. There are a lot, hundreds of thousands of those generators out there.
That's right.
Now, for people that are wondering, we are saying Africa should get productive. We are saying Nigeria should get productive. Now, how can we get productive if the best we can do is service and repair those generators? So if we are looking at this particular chain from the big manufacturers, from the big names, the big brands, down to the smallest of them, where and what is stopping us from playing a role? Even if we can't manufacture the whole thing, if we can't couple the whole thing, we should be able to start making spare parts.
So, all of it still rests on the fact that we've not been a productive economy for a very long time.
I agree.
cannot build an economy on generators. It's impossible. Which is
We don't need to build an economy on
whatever
generators.
type of economy, whether it's large scale or the barber shop in front of your house, you cannot build a business and by extension the economy on generators. For instance, my barber charges, he has increased this now to almost 4,000 naira.
Wow.
Because it's bandy.
You should tell me, let me come open the barber shop.
Okay, don't worry. I've learned how to do it myself now. So you find somebody who is artisanal in nature. I just own a one-person enterprise. But you cannot do anything without first acquiring and procuring a generating set.
Okay.
Right? So, it's not so much about us manufacturing spare parts or why can't we manufacture this and that and that. You need power to get it done. There's no dilly-dallying around it. So, except that it's fixed, we are just going to be living in fool's paradise because it's not happening. There's no, well, maybe we want to invest in nuclear energy, but if we cannot manage ordinary petrol and gas supply, we can't even get close to nuclear energy. Do you get what I mean? So, all of these things are not that hard because you've seen it happen other places in the world. But the central question is, in order for us to have a thriving economy, what are the things that we need to put into place? We need to put in place infrastructure and an enabling environment. Now, the custom in Nigeria has typically been putting the cart before the horse, right? So you have school kids who can barely read, and you say, no, your common entrance has to be computer-based. Now, you have kids that are seeing a computer for the first time in their life. You now come back and say, oh, the failure rate is high. Why will it not be high? Do you know what I mean? So there's no question of us building generators or building spare parts for generators if we don't address the
issue of power
that necessitated the generators being the in thing.
Okay. Now, we are still going. Okay, you are still going back to having power.
Where do you want to go to?
Exactly where we are heading to.
Oh yeah, go there.
You are still going back to having power to be able to produce spare parts.
Yes.
Good. Now, if we follow that particular line of thought, we'll all be looking at the federal government. Now, somewhere in Aba, a private firm, Geometrics to be precise, have been able to launch a plant that is servicing that environment.
How long did it take?
It took a whole 2 decades.
That's right.
Now, political issues, which is very shameful. Now, let's focus on it. Now, if we say, okay, private organizations, a lot of them are running on generators in the first place.
Right.
90% of the owners of these generators, for the big names, are all here in Africa. What policy can governments across Africa say, okay, good, if you are bringing, this is your biggest market, then you should produce something here and not bring and dump on us. Down to expatriate most times. So why is Africa that quiet?
So a lot of times in Africa, business and politics, are usually very interwoven. You find the same players in business as it is in government. I think, I don't have the empirical data, but I think Nigeria is the only place where you have 7 public officials, vice president, president, investing in private schools, which ordinarily is a fundamental right that you have to provide the populace. So you have people that are served in government who own generating companies or facilities or who do that business. So in Nigeria, mainly, business and politics have an unholy alliance, right? You hear some of the most successful business owners who are accused of enjoying, unauthorized bonuses from whatever parties in town, right? So the case of policy, government first has to be sincere in addressing it. There's no way you are going to have a policy, even if it's by making laws or by white paper, if the same guys that are going to sign it are in bed, figuratively, I don't know what they do, are in bed with people who do this business. And I do not want to mention names, but we know them. People that own Gencos and Discos.
Okay, go ahead.
People who own Genco and Discos have one leg, or in some cases, 2 legs in politics. So you now find out.
Do they also have legs in bringing in generators into the country?
Well, yes, I know a few, but we know of a few that are rumored to be owned by XYZ. But that's beside the case, the point. The point is that for policies to be formulated, government has to deal fairly with everybody. That is typically not so. So you find out, and people say that the problem of Nigeria is not exactly laws, because we have laws in place. But in the execution of those laws, we make excuses, we give some people head starts above other people. So if I'm a business owner, why do I need to trust the government to enact favorable policies when I can influence 1 or 2 members of any board and they give me, license to import whatever I want? So the onus on government is to create an enabling environment and be fair, whatever policy they want to formulate. Outside of that, I don't see it changing.
Okay, now let's try and align this.
Okay, align.
Do you see an industry in this generator importation? Do you see an industry in this generator importation?
I think I'm the wrong person to ask, because the fact that we need generators alone is mind-boggling.
Good. This is where we are.
There you are.
Good. So, do you see a service industry in this generator?
I mean,
quagmire?
without being facetious, yes. If 85 million of us, is that not what you call it? If 85 million of us depend on generators, it will be ridiculous to imagine that we shouldn't have, a service industry.
Now, do you also see the pain when these same generators, we spend money, it doesn't matter how much you spend individually, just like you said, then collectively it turns into billions. We also now go back to the same people that we bought it from, imported it from, paid duty. We now go back to them to buy these papers.
I mean, how do you solve it? You cannot see an issue in it, to be honest. Okay. If somebody has manufactured something, of course, it's the one that will manufacture the spare parts.
Because we kept quiet and let them manufacture the spare parts.
What would you have done? Stop them?
Okay,
they don't need you now. Shebi, it's you people that don't have lights.
Let's go back. Some years back,
right,
when Menwan was trying to draw cables, and he got to South Africa. If you remember very well, South Africa made some specific demands.
Yes.
So why can't other Africans
follow that? South Africa make those demands because they could accommodate it.
So what stops us from accommodating?
That's what I'm saying. It's a matter of which comes first, the chicken or the egg. Do you want to have enough infrastructure to produce those things, or you first want to start producing those things? And I think that's the approach that a lot of successive governments have taken. Put a summary ban on things without necessarily
putting a ban on generators right now is counterproductive. 100%.
It's not happening. Yes,
it's not happening, because just like you said, even the importers of generators are the ones that are asking to put the ban. So now let's ask ourselves directly: these generators that are coming in, what percentage are Nigerians profiting in that industry? If we are even profiting at all.
I mean, I do know,
apart from servicing generator.
Yes, I know of and I don't know if they are started assembling generators here, but I know of a brand that they assemble cars now. So I assume that they'll also assemble generators.
So if we can assemble cars.
Yes.
Now I ask this question every time. We have universities, a whole lot of them. We have people of bright minds. Why have we not looked at that direction? Because
we are looking at the direction.
Every household have a generator.
We look at the direction. You are making the assumption that we are not looking at the direction. So we are looking at the direction and choosing to go in the opposite one. So those are two different things. It's not that we don't know that these things are there. And you go to technical schools, you go to polytechnics, you go to colleges of engineering, and you see really ingenious, bright students. However, what's the out for them? Right? We spoke to a gentleman today, or a gentle lady who did something physics, and she's in the media now. Yes, media opens, has more opportunities than you being a physicist in Nigeria. Where our research facilities, where our think tanks, where people can just stay there and be thinking of solutions. We haven't done that.
Political considerations.
There you are.
We are taking a dive, trying to hold it on its truth. We're looking at generators, and we are asking ourselves, what percentage of production are we playing in that particular sector? Almost every family, every working class family, every productive family has a generator. Every business has nothing less than 2 generators. Now, Africa is importing the most generators built in the world. Nigeria is importing the most. Now, we're asking ourselves this direct question. Why? This might not be positive. Yes, that is where we are right now. But this is where we find ourselves. So where we are finding ourselves, why are we not playing in that particular field? Why are we not making some progress? Why are we not making some profit? Even if we're not producing it, why are we not assembling it? If we're not assembling it, why are we not making the parts? Down to now the big brands, why do we have expatriates still coming all the way here to be the ones offering this particular service? Are we going to get productive this way? Are we going to continue this way? So we are bringing it down to generators so that every single one of us can relate. You step outside and you see it. If you don't see it, you perceive the fume from your neighbors. If you don't perceive the fumes, then the noise from the church or that mosque is getting to you. So everybody is feeling it. We still have our very own Jide Taiwo here.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
Good.
Yes.
And I like the particular argument and your line of thought on this. Now let's go back to some particular uncanny bad figures.
Yes, please.
Now, Nigeria spent 14 billion annually on fuel for generators. That was for 2023, before the removal of subsidy.
Right.
That was when fuel was 165 naira. Now, fuel is, well, I'm not really sure what fuel is costing. It depends on where you are buying it from.
It depends on where you're buying it from,
or who your supplier is. I mean, fuel, be specific. Now, if we multiply that with the percentage increase, what does it look like? Now we're still talking about generators. We are not looking at the bad or the ugly side. We're not asking ourselves, why are we not playing here? Let's go back to where we were before we went on the break. If we say we are in the era of having these generators, we don't have the power plants yet that are working. We don't have the gas plants yet. We have a few that are working. We don't have a national grid yet that is working. The discos, government is still putting money in the discos, which happen to be private enterprise. But now we are living with these generators, big, small, extra large, mega generators. Why do we still have expatriates working in that particular sector?
So that's a very touchy point that you just raised. And I remember when I worked in an organization that owned a press, and you know there were printing machines that we had at the time that needed expatriates to come fix. I remember in particular a gentleman who used to come from Romania, you know, and they would take him round and I would be like, this is what Romania looked like in the 60s, you know. So in terms of talent, there's a gap in the skills that we have. Again, for some inexplicable reason, Nigeria has a look down your nose attitude to things of vocation. So if you see some guy that's a mechanic or a technician, you tend to look at him as inferior. You know, it doesn't match up to you because you went to one school and you finished with a 2-2 or third class or even fail out, you know. But people have a certain disposition towards technical guys. And you find out that even the technical guys, you know, because of that perception, they also want to do other things. So we are in a situation where we need people who can fix and make our generators, and the skill gap is just wide. The skills is not there. People are no longer interested in vocational, you know, studies and practices. And you find this out when, you know, you want to tile your house or you want to put a roof in or you want to fix your gen and you bring in people from India, from Italy, from Romania. Is that troubling, you know? And it still stems from the fact that we've not understood and acknowledged that we are in a deep mess, which is why we are fine. And when they say the foreign exchange rate is spiraling, how will it not spiral? Because you are running on imported diesel, imported generator, and you are still buying airline tickets for some guy. You are going to pay him per hour. So those expatriates get paid per hour that they are here. Do you get what I mean? So how will our FX not spiral out of control? So it comes from a lack of acknowledgement of our dire situation that except people like you and I start to talk about it and make it integral to our communication on a daily basis, we might not see lots of change. Again, because of what we said earlier, business, politics, unholy alliance.
Business, politics, or unholy alliance. Now let's talk to those that are in business and are not strong or have a leg in politics. If you go to some areas at night and there is no power,
yes,
except if you have some extraordinary unsensitive ears, you will go mad the next day. If you go to some business areas, I went to somewhere in Abuja, Garaki, there's one shopping center. I had to run out because I was like, what exactly is happening here? Is it possible where we can start looking at, even without asking government to do this, community leaders, community gatekeepers, say, okay, good, in this area, if you're coming in, don't buy generator.
And so
we have a central generator. You come and plug in. Is it possible we start having that? Because the higher the number of generators we use per space is contributing to a large extent pollution, health-wise, noise-wise, smoke-wise, sanity-wise.
So theoretically it's possible. Theoretically it's possible. I mean, in other parts of the world, carpooling is a thing, which means that on certain days, or you know, you can decide to, instead of you driving, instead of having 5 people on the road, one person drive and has 4 passengers, right? There's even carpool lanes. So if you are carrying 4 extra people, if you are carpooling, there's a lane dedicated to you. We are not there yet in this part of the world. So yes, we want less generators if we are going to invest in a central one. But like George Orwell wrote, who will bail the cat, right? Who is going to volunteer to be the one to make this happen when there's that lack of trust in the systems, when even individuals themselves have issues? And again, in as much as people have to be responsible for themselves, I feel like the statutory duties of government is what they shirk from the most and what is now unfortunately passed on to the populace. Why do I need to contribute with 500 other shop owners to buy a central generator when it's simply not there? So how do you factor in my rate? In my shop, I have one barber, one clipper, one standing fan, and one TV to watch football. Somebody else has a photocopier, 2 ACs, and all whatnot. How do you now start to factor all of these things? And then bear in mind that a lot of business owners are small businesses.
Good.
Right. So my contribution to fuel, 4,000 naira fuel might be enough for me per day. But if you now invest in a giant machine like that, I might need 40,000. Okay. So you have all of these things happening.
Have you not also checked it that it could be metered? It could be, look at, okay, what point, what units do you use, what points do you use? This can be calculated. You might not put your money down to buy the generator, but once you're coming into that particular space, okay, we have this. So
the conversation has that's what I'm saying. So who will spearhead it? If you are not contributing to the cost of acquiring it.
If the community, be it an estate, be it a local government, be it a street, start it. I've seen estates that operate that way. If you're coming into our estate, thank you very much. If you're not installing solar, don't bring in generators.
So we are normalizing the abnormal. We are normalizing the abnormal. These are issues that we should have forgotten for many years. That we are now.
This is where we have found ourselves.
We cannot be comfortable in where we have found ourselves.
Can we make profit where we find ourselves?
Can we make profit?
Yes, where we find
ourselves. How do you mean profit?
Good. The generators are here with us.
Yes.
Good. So let us join the production. Let us produce something. If we say we can't do something, let's ask ourselves, for how many years did it take for us to phase out lead fuel? It took a very long time. For how many years has it taken for us to say, okay, let us phase out fossil fuel? We are still using it tomorrow.
I mean, so those are some of the conversations we shouldn't be putting our mouth. We have no business in phasing out of fossil fuel.
Because we are not even there.
We are not there.
We don't even thinking about
As a matter of fact, I'm of the opinion that parts of the West, Europe and America mainly, outsource their responsibility in terms of fossil fuel. How many are we burning? Shebi, it's now that you are saying it. How many manufacturing plants do we have that we now have to bear the brunt of climate change and all whatnot? So those phasing out of fossil fuel.
We're not bearing the brunt.
Oh, so that's
just like you said before, it's the politicians that decide to go bear the brunt in the name of trying to act right. Now let's go back to our generators.
Right.
Now, what policies can the government, we're looking at the government side now, what policies can the government say, okay, if you happen to be in government today, what policies will you initiate? Mind you, generators are here with us. We've not gotten the plants we need yet. We've not even built enough yet. We've not gotten transmission right yet. But now generators are here with us. What policies will you put down to make sure that Africa and Nigeria benefit and get productive with the generators that are here with us right now?
I'm sorry, you can't do it in isolation.
Okay.
You can't do this for the generator industry, so to speak. So what do you do for the automobile industry? What do you do for agriculture? What do you do for shipping? So that means each one of them.
Okay, let's not go there.
No, go ahead.
No.
So that means each one needs a bespoke policy. One cannot be done without the other. So if we are saying that we are spending too much on generator repairs, we are probably spending too much on diesel, right? Means that we need to stop importing petroleum products, right? So it's difficult to have a bespoke solution because that problem is intractable, is connected to something else. It's not like it's in isolation. Do you understand? We are not in isolation. If we don't have generator manufacturers or repairers or all of that, it's because something else is responsible. That's something else gone. There's something else still responsible for it. So it's hard for me to isolate that issue and craft up a policy on the fly to say, you can't say they should have rebates now. They can't have rebates because you are not in control.
If they can't have rebates, some time ago, I think I still remember, a particular car manufacturer who had a whole lot of, were importing a whole lot of them here this way. And the government of the day say, hey, no problem, we'll still import from you, but get an assembly plant here. And it happened.
So, have you driven a car?
No, that particular folded after a while.
Okay, thank you very much.
But at that particular point in time, it happened.
Thank you very much. So, again, this is living leprosy to do with ringworm.
Leprosy and ringworm.
Yes.
Give me the ringworm.
I don't have. I cannot give you. I cannot give
I will happily accept
the point is, all of these things are great. They are great to think of. They are great to consider. But at the core of it, and I'm sorry if it sounds like a broken record, you cannot fix one without fixing the others. So we have to.
But we need to start from somewhere.
The problem has to be addressed, and
we need to start from somewhere.
Addressing it cannot be from the top layer. Addressing it cannot be from the top layer, because what are we going to do? You are going to give scholarship to 1 million people to study generator repair. They will finish and they don't want to do that. Do you understand? So those are intractable problems that we need to start solving. Unfortunately, I don't see that we're as a whole interested in fixing it. Yes, individuals might be wanting to do one or two things, but as a community, as a people, as an economy, I don't see that we're interested.
Okay, now let's get to those big players. How divided is the power sector here?
So it's divided. It's divided. As much as I complain about Ikeja Electric because I live in Lagos, each time I speak to my folks outside of Lagos, Ibadan Electric, for instance, it's a different type of lamentation. You know, so you have all of these things, all of these people that have put their money into businesses. I don't know, you know, if they didn't do their feasibility studies. I'm sure they did, but you know, they're always complaining lack of funds, this, that. So it's very divided. You know, the GenCos are there themselves. You know, there's lack of cohesion between people that are generating and people that are distributing. It's a very fine mess, but I think it can be solved by unbundling it further. There's no reason why Ibadan Electric should serve Ibadan, Abeokuta, Osun. No, that's too large. I think Ibadan Electric has the largest bulk of bulk of customers in this part of the country. We have to unbundle everything. If it's going to take me using Marina power supply, and I know that it only feeds Marina, or me as an investor, I'm saying, okay, well, I'm going to go to Maryland Estates where I live and put a power plant there, and it only serves that. I don't mind, but we need to remove this national grid mentality. Everybody goes to the central thing. It's inimical to our progress, and we have seen it across different industries. Once you carry your plate and go to the central, yeah, we've lost the plot.
Okay. Once you carry your plate to the central, you've lost the plot. Now let's come back to generators.
Okay.
This continuous importation of generators, who is benefiting the most?
Who is benefiting from the continuous importation? The people that are selling it. Without a doubt, because they didn't create the market, but they spotted
the manufacturer, the seller is a middleman. The African seller is a middleman.
I mean, everybody I don't think the middleman is enjoying as much, to be honest, because whatever amount you are making, if you sell 10 generators a day, you are going to use that money to service your own one generator. So it's a vicious cycle. I don't think there are any winners, except
what about the manufacturer?
Except, of course, the manufacturer.
Because you come back to them for spare parts.
All the time.
After 4 or 5 years, generator backs
somebody. You buy another set. They keep working and they give you a new model, newly designed. They give you that one. You know, so it's a vicious cycle, and we have to be deliberate in breaking it. Because, like my mantra is, nobody's coming to save us. We look towards the west or the east, it's not coming from anywhere. Any developed country that is friendly towards Africa, it's not because of the goodness of their heart. It's because they've seen things that they want to benefit. Now, they are going to use our poverty as bait. So you guys don't have road. Okay, so you are going to give us X, Y, Z. We are going to construct it, but we'll make this one road for you. Right? So, you know, nobody wins. Nobody wins.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jide Taiwo. It's always a pleasure having you here.
No, it's a delight to be here. I hope that, you know, we'll have better topics to monitor on the pulse, you know, because the pulse of the people are angry, the people are hungry, and as we monitor their pulse, it's important that we amplify them. But I'm looking forward to better days, such that when we monitor the pulse of the people and we bring it on SOUQ Pulse, it's more, bullish and exciting. But thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. We want to say thank you very much for also being there and being part of this. Remember, if we say Africa must get productive, then we will not keep quiet. Whatever bites, we will talk about it, whether positive or negative. And we expect you to do the same thing. And for those out there in the business of importing generators, we have nothing against you. And for those out there also making, we have nothing against you. But for our African brothers and sisters, we are asking you this. What part can you play in that chain? We should not just be consumers alone. We should play a part. Thank you very much. We'll do this again tomorrow. My name is Chuks, John Rogers Chuks. Remember, don't keep quiet. Bye.